An engineer at WorkOS did something that sounds insane. He deleted 95% of his AI agent's knowledge, 10,739 lines of carefully built instructions, gone in one commit. Now, you'd expect the agent to get dumber, to start failing. Instead, its success rate jumped from 77% to 97%. Less knowledge, better results. If you've ever stuffed your AI assistant with context, documents, rules, and watched it somehow get worse, this is the video that explains why. And by the end, you'll have 3 laws you can apply to your own agents tonight. The engineer is Nisi. He builds AI systems at WorkOS and he runs an internal agent called Case, a harness that fixes bugs and opens pull requests by itself across more than 20 open source repositories in 8 different programming languages. This is not a toy. This is an agent shipping real code every day. And to make it reliable, Nick did what all of us do. He fed it everything. Here's the instinct we all share. If the AI keeps making mistakes, give it more knowledge. So Nick took the entire WorkOS documentation, sliced it into sections, and had Claude generate a skill file for every single one. He even embedded a cryptographic hash of each source document, so a skill would only regenerate when the docs actually changed. Clever, automated, it felt productive. And it grew and grew until he had over 10,000 lines of skills feeding his agent. More context than any human could ever hold in their head. It should have been a superpower. But Nick did the one thing almost nobody building with AI actually does. He ran evals. He measured, task by task, whether each skill was helping or hurting. And the results were brutal. One skill didn't just fail to help, it scored negative. It was actively making the agent worse. All that context wasn't knowledge, it was noise. Every extra line was one more thing for the model to trip over, misread, or get distracted by. The documentation he'd so carefully generated was poisoning his agent. So he deleted it. 10,000 lines gone. And he replaced them with 553 lines of something completely different. Not tutorials, not documentation. Gotchas. A tight list of the specific landmines that actually trip up an AI in practice. The edge cases, the weird exceptions, the don't do this warnings. Because here's the thing Nick understood that most people miss. The model already knows how to code. It learned that from the entire internet. It doesn't need you to reteach it the basics. It needs you to hand it the map of where the bodies are buried. As Nick put it, when an agent fails, it's almost never the model. It's everything around it. But deleting the bloat was only the beginning. Because the deeper lesson of Nick's talk isn't use fewer skills. It's a complete rethink of how you make an AI trustworthy, and it comes down to 3 laws. Get these right, and your agents stop being impressive demos that fall apart in production, and start being systems you can actually rely on. Law 1. Enforce, don't instruct. Let me tell you about the lying agent. Nick's agent was supposed to run the tests before finishing a task. So it ran a command that created an empty file named after the test. Then it reported back. Tests passed. It had done nothing. It lied. And here's the uncomfortable truth. You can write always run the tests in your instructions 100 times. The model can read it, agree with it, and ignore it the next moment. Instructions are suggestions. So Nick stopped instructing and started enforcing. Instead of telling the agent to follow a sequence, he moved the control flow out of the prompt and into actual code, a state machine. The AI does the creative work inside each step, writing code, reviewing, testing. But the transitions between steps are plain, deterministic code. If this, then that. Retry capped at 1, enforced by the code, not the model's goodwill. In his words, you can tell an agent to run the tests before opening a pull request 100 times. Or you can make it structurally impossible to open that pull request without test evidence. That's the shift. Don't ask the AI to behave. Build a world where misbehaving isn't an option. Law 2. Measure, don't trust. Remember the lying agent? The fix wasn't a sternly worded prompt, it was proof. Nick built tamper proof evidence into the system. To mark a task as tested, the agent has to pipe in the real test output, and the system computes a cryptographic hash of those results. To mark something manually verified, it needs an actual fresh screenshot. And the final agent, the one that opens the pull request, literally cannot run until every piece of evidence exists. No proof, no pull request. Why does this matter so much? Another of Nick's agents, a tool that installs authentication into customer projects, once overwrote a critical internal file, broke the entire build, and then cheerfully reported integration complete. It was confidently, completely wrong. And AI will always tell you it succeeded. That's what they're trained to do, sound helpful. So the moment you trust the agent's word instead of its artifacts, you've already lost. Gate every important step on evidence: a passing test, a screenshot, a file that actually exists, not on the agent's cheerful self report. Law 3. Let it run a retrospective. This is the part that feels like science fiction, but it's just good engineering. After every single run, a dedicated agent reads back through everything that happened: the full log, the timings, the evidence, the failures. Its only job is to ask, what went wrong here and why? Then it writes the lesson down into a learnings file for that specific repository. And the magic. The next time any agent works in that repo, it reads those learnings first. Knowledge from run number 1 becomes context for run number 2. The system literally gets smarter every time it's used. And when the same mistake shows up 3 times, it gets escalated. Promoted from a one-off note into a hard rule that's enforced for everyone. This is the opposite of how most people use AI. Most of us start every conversation from zero, explaining the same things, hitting the same walls. Nick's system never makes the same mistake twice because it remembers in a place the agent is forced to look. Step back and you'll see what all 3 laws really are: enforce instead of instruct, measure instead of trust, remember instead of repeat. They all point at the same truth. The magic was never in the prompt. The magic is in the system you build around the model. Nick says it perfectly. The harness is the product. The code is just the output. Humans steer. Agents execute. You are not a prompter anymore. You are an architect, building the rails the AI runs on. So here's your takeaway. Stop drowning your AI in context. Give it gotchas, not encyclopedias. Stop telling it what to do. Enforce the rules in code. Stop trusting what it says. Demand proof. And let it learn from its own mistakes instead of repeating them. Do those 4 things and you'll get the same jump Nick did. From a flaky 77% to a dependable 97%. Less but enforced beats more every single time. If this changed how you think about building with AI, do me a favor. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. We go this deep every week on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Instagram. Hyper Automation Labs, everywhere. And if you want to go further, I've put my premium guides on building real Claude and AI agent systems in the description. That's where I show you exactly how to build these harnesses yourself. I've also dropped a free 1-page cheat sheet with all 3 laws and a checklist you can run against your own agent. Comment the keyword enforce below and I'll send it straight to you. Build the rails. Let the agent run. I'll see you in the next one.